Could the Chicago Bears trade for one Breece Hall? The Jets running back had some interesting comments on Monday now that the Jets are 0-5. And obviously the Bears' run game struggles have been well documented. So we're going to dive into this topic today, coming up next. Does Breece Hall want out of New York? My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Hall expressed some frustrations after the Jets' fifth straight loss to start the season, and Bears fans are wondering if he could be a potential trade target given the run game issues with DeAndre Swift and company. Here's what Breece Hall had to say on Monday. He said, when asked about, could you use a fresh start? What are the frustrations right now? He said, I'm worried about winning football games. I'm not worried about having fun right now. I'm in my fourth year, and I don't have a lot of time left to prove what I want to do and who I can be in this league. At the end of the day, I'm worried about winning games. And look, from a Jets perspective, Breece Hall is in a contract year, and the Jets are going nowhere, and he's playing really well. So to me, I would trade Breece Hall if I was the Jets. Now, we're going to get into the Bears angle of this. This is a Bears show, but just anytime we talk trades, we got to give the perspective for each team. Like, oh, go trade for this guy. Well, does it make sense for that team? To me, it does make sense. Even with Braylon Allen injured, I get it in the short term. That would kind of put the Jets in a bind. But if I was New York, I'd be fielding calls. Breece Hall is averaging over 5 yards per carry. He is playing better than he has the last couple of years. Yeah, he's only 24 years old, but he has decent mileage. Like, is that a guy you're going to invest in if you're the Jets? Like, he's having a big year and you're 0-5. Like, you're not close to contending. Braylon Allen last year played great, and before the injury looked good. He's going to come back at some point. Like, you can lean into him. You can always find backs moving forward. Like, to me, this is not a guy you pay if you're the Jets based on where you're at. Sure, you could try to play the comp pick formula game, but if they sign more players than they let go in free agency, which they probably will because they're a shitty team, then they won't even get a comp draft pick. So if you could get something for Breece Hall, wouldn't you trade him if you're the Jets? And from the Bears' perspective, which we're going to dive into in a sec, I want to ask you guys first, should the Bears go out and trade for Breece Hall? Type T for trade or P for pass. Put on your Ryan Poles GM cap on. What would you do if you were the Chicago Bears? Now, you look at his career numbers adding in this year. The last couple of years, he was good, but kind of like you were wanting more, right? Remember, like, after his rookie year, midway through his second year, it's like this guy should take off. And again, he was good. Maybe it was just the Jets were a joke, but you never saw him take that next step. Kind of feels like he's doing that this year. And we'll outline his on-pace stats here in a moment, but he's always been a good receiving back as well. Last couple of years, averaging over 500 receiving yards, and again, that's in bad offenses. This year has 17 catches in 5 games, again, in a bad offense. It seems like he has that juice back, and you're seeing that in the yards per carry. Now, I'll give the Jets some credit. They're doing some things in the run game that's working. Obviously, as Bears fans know, when Justin Fields is your quarterback, you're going to have some success as a running team, so I do think that's helped a little bit as well. But Breece Hall, that last year felt kind of slow. He doesn't feel slow this year. He feels like he's fully healthy and playing well. And if you look at his on-pace 17-game stats, 1,200 rushing yards, 500 receiving yards, is that a top 8 back in the NFL? Top 10? Probably. Like, is he that long-term? I don't know. I do know this. I think he's better than what you got, for sure. And if you say, well, Swift, he can hit the home run, Breece Hall kind of can too. And he's more physical between the tackles. He can also catch the ball. I think he would be a clear upgrade. Now, what would it cost? Should the Bears do it? We'll explore that next here on Chicago Bears Now, as Breece Hall could be a name that emerges between now and the trade deadline. But before we do that, we got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS to get signed up at the best daily fantasy sports app out there. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I've been right a lot recently on PrizePicks. I'm up over $500 this season, which I feel very, very good about. What I also like with PrizePicks is that they are the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in your PrizePicks lineup. If you want to pick the more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can do so right now. All in one lineup, only on Prize pick. Speaking of Caleb Williams, got a little two-player lineup for you guys. I like the more on his rushing yards. This is a big game going up against Washington. I think he'll use his legs to pick up some key first downs. 24.5 rushing yards. I like the more. I like Deebo Samuel to score for Washington as well. That's a demon play, tougher to hit. So usually two-player entries are 3 times your money, but this one you get 3 in. Get a little more, $20 entry to win, I believe $70 here, and Terry McLaurin may not play, so Deebo's the number 1 target there. So like that play, I'll be filling out some more lineups, but that's just one of many examples. 2 or more players, up to 6-player lineups with Prize Picks, pick more or less, and if you hit, you win money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, so should the Bears trade for Breece Hall or not? Here's what I'll say. If the Bears go into Washington and have a poor performance again on the ground, not in general because I think the offense has actually been pretty good, but on the ground, I think you got to start making calls, whether it's to the Jets for Breece Hall, whether it's to another team for a different back. I think you at least have to start poking around if you're Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, because Ben Johnson is too smart of an offensive mind and has too much of a proven track record for this to be a bad running attack. It just is. Just look at the numbers. You're barely scratching 100 yards per game, and that's with Caleb being a good scrambler this year. The running backs, less than 3.5 yards per carry through 4 games. Not good. You only have 2 rushing touchdowns among your backs. Caleb has 1 as well, so that's 3 total. But that's just not good enough through 4 games either. DeAndre Swift, and we'll get to Ben Johnson's quote in a second. I don't think it's all on him, but you're still only getting 3.3 yards per carry out of him. Remember how slow he started last year? He's actually started slower this year in some aspects, which is obviously a concern. I do think the run blocking has been questionable a lot of times. So, again, I'm not trying to bury Swift here, but I do think you should be getting more production. Here's what Ben Johnson said before the bye week on the run game struggles. He said, I don't think our running game struggles were a reflection of DeAndre. He's a guy that continues to run the ball very hard, even though the yards per carry aren't where any of us want to be right now. He's as frustrated as anybody. He's very prideful in what he can do and what he brings to the table. Okay, Ben, bye week has come and gone. You play Washington, who's a middle-of-the-pack run defense. You should have at least some level of success on the ground. And if you don't, regardless of who's to blame, and the pie chart, it's not going to be 100% one thing. It's not going to be coaching fully. It's not going to be Swift fully. It's not going to be offensive line fully. It's going to be a combination. But regardless, if you get more of the same, DeAndre Swift, 17 carries, 49 yards or whatever, like, I'm sorry. Like, I have to try to change something up. Like, you're not gonna. What are you gonna do? Change your offensive line? Like, sure, schematically you should change some things. And again, coming off the bye week, I would imagine there's some new wrinkles in the run block scheme. But if it's more of the same and it's underwhelming and you're under 3.5 yards per carry again, like, I got to try to upgrade at running back if I'm serious about winning this year. If not, like, if you don't want to make that move, okay, fine, whatever. But I just, like, at some point something has to give. And changing the running backs kind of seems like the easiest option, does it not? Now, certainly you should start internal with Kyle Monungai, but if he's not ready for a full-time role, then maybe making a call to the Jets for Breece Hall is. So here's my idea. 5th-round pick for Breece Hall. I think the Jets would ask for a 3rd or a 4th. No chance in hell I'm giving a day 2 pick for an expiring running back contract who the Jets are very unlikely to pay. 4th, you could talk me into a 4th. I would probably start with the 6th as my offer, and then I'd try to settle for a 5. I think that would be maybe a 5, throw a future 7 in there or something like that, a 7 in 2027 if they need to sweeten the pot a little bit, something like that. I could stomach a 4th, if I felt really good, if I was Ben Johnson about Breece Hall elevating this offense, but I think it fit this fair because, again, I don't think the Jets are going to pay him. I don't think he's a guy that they're going to get an elite comp pick for because I think they're going to be spenders in free agency next year. So I think a 5th is kind of fair. Like, I just do. So that's what my offer would be for Breece Hall if I was Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. So would you do that trade? 5th-round pick for Breece Hall? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Again, today I'm not doing it. I want to see how the running attack looks coming out of the bye week. If there are good notable signs and notable tangible improvement, okay, let's give it another week, see how it goes. And maybe you write it out closer to the deadline. Then you kind of have the data of before the bye week and the data after the bye week, have about 4 games each, then you can make a decision. But if it's ugly on Monday night, I'm making calls on Tuesday. Like, I'm starting to make calls on Tuesday if I am Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. Some other names just to keep on your radar that are notable. Devon Achane, the Dolphins are a mess. They could go into a fire sale here. Alvin Kamara, I know the Saints have been feisty. They've been playing better recently. He loves it there, so he would certainly have to approve of a trade, I would think, but he could be a guy that maybe gets loose. Tyler Algier, I know the Falcons like him, but also an expiring contract there in Atlanta. You know, they're going to have to pay Bijan soon. So, like, are they paying Algier as well? Like, he's a starting capable back. Like, if you get a pick for him, maybe that makes more sense if you're the Falcons. And then I threw Chase Brown in there. Cincinnati's just a mess. He's having a down year. Their O-line's been disaster. Could you buy low on a guy that finished last year really well, played his college ball at Illinois? So the Bears front office and scouts should have had a close-up look at him. So just another name that could circulate over the next couple of weeks. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Hopefully the Bears running game just improves, but if it doesn't, I think some phone calls may have to be made for a Breece Hall or someone else. We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you content every single day, so don't forget to subscribe. And as always, bear down.